he's certainly doing is the tariff tango, okay? And I believe what I said up at the top of the show. I think that the big dollar guys have come to him and said, look, this is going to be a bad look for you. It's bad for us. Stop. China hasn't come to the table. China hasn't given him any reason to back off, but he's doing it anyway. What makes you think that this is really part of some plan?
Well, I don't know if it's part of some plan, but I know why he's doing it. It's because the American people are angry with these tariffs. And all the polling shows that. There's a new poll tomorrow by Mark Penn, and Trump can read. He sees his public opinion slipping, job approval slipping. People are angry and scared because they look at their portfolios, their 401ks, see them going down fast. So he's going to make an adjustment. He's nimble. He's always been that way. Always. He's never not been nimble. He's not a stubborn guy and he's like, I'm going to fight this out to the end. But there's going to be a downside for what he does, that China's going to seize on it. I'm not so worried about China in the long run. I think China, as Gordon Chang pointed out, has a lot to lose. And yeah, they'll strut around, but in the end, they'll come to some kind of accommodation. What's interesting is that the Trump administration made some pretty good deals so far, the best of which was not reported by the corrupt American press, and that's Switzerland. So Roche is going to invest $500 billion in pharmaceutical money in the USA. Did you know that?
No.
You didn't know it because it's not been reported. It's insane.
No,
it's insane.
I still don't know it.
So
I heard it's an offering
in.
letter. I heard it's an offering letter that they haven't actually made the deal yet.
It's a deal. It's a deal. And in fact, they're already picking out sites, plants to build and to make pharmaceuticals, which we desperately need, made here, not in China. Now, that's the kind of thing that the press does all the time. It won't tell you the good things that are coming out of this. Modi is going to give us a better deal. Japan is going to give us a better deal. The EU, hollering and screaming, will give us a better deal. Better deals will be had. And then China, in the end, they'll come to some kind of accommodation.
I want better deals, and I love the idea of rebalancing.
Right.
Of rebalancing how the benefits flow. I don't think it's anti-capitalism to say if you want access to the biggest consumer market in the world, which is America, you got to give to get. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Okay.
It's just how you do it. The Swiss deal, and again, look, I'll take your word on it that it's done. They didn't come to the table because of tariffs. They came to the table because he asked them to. And that was my point originally with you, is he didn't need to do this to get deals with a lot of people.
It was under the it was under the tariff umbrella. Switzerland, and I did not know this, is America's #2 trading partner. Did you know that?
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, you know who #1 is? Go.
Not China.
Mexico. Okay, so what the execution of the tariffs, I think everyone, including President Trump, if you could get him drunk, would admit that it wasn't good. It just wasn't. So you need to, when you're going to make a dramatic change in the way this country is run financially, and you're going to mess with people's money, that's the big thing. You're messing with people's money. You got to explain every iota of it in a calm, deliberate way. That was not done. And it was
because he doesn't have an explanation.
Tsunami. I don't believe that's true because he's got some pretty, Besant himself could do it, the Treasury Secretary. But he wanted shock and awe because shock and awe has worked for him in the past. It did not work here. And now that's why he's backtracking.
Well, look, and you're right. There's nothing worse than doubling down on dumb. So pick a different path when a path doesn't work. That's part of leadership. Look, another part of leadership is doing what isn't popular. You know what I mean? You can't always get good feedback from people. Sometimes you got to do it even if they don't like it in the moment. So,
hey, all my fellow civilians, back again. And we're going to be talking again about tariffs and Donald Trump. Now, the clip that I played is from Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly talking about Trump's tariffs and his recent retraction of some of the Chinese tariffs and things like that nature. And the reason I'm playing Cuomo, especially Bill O'Reilly, is something that Bill O'Reilly said that I agree with. A while back, I couldn't find the exact clip. I was looking for it when he actually said it. He said After 40 years, the press and the nation doesn't know who Donald Trump actually is. And I've been saying that for the past, 6 months. Donald Trump is not Putin. He's not Vladimir Putin. He's not even Xi. Okay? Xi and Putin only say what they mean. If Xi and Putin say something, it's almost written in stone. Donald Trump is the exact opposite of that. In fact, he's opposite of Biden. Biden wouldn't say anything. Biden would gaslight you. He'd throw you off, but Biden wouldn't say anything. Biden would do stuff undercover. Trump is somebody who flies by the seat of his pants. That's something that Riley said. Riley said that about Trump. Trump is in the moment. And so if he's in the moment, that means his thought patterns and his strategies are fluid. So when he announced tariffs, draconian tariffs on everybody, I knew that it was a plot. It was a negotiating tactic. It wasn't anything that was set in stone. So when people flipped out about tariffs, like it's going to affect them for the next 20 years, I told people, why don't you wait and see how it plays out? Because I know Trump is very good at saber rattling. And I've seen Trump back down before. He'll stay in a position and he'll move his piece. Trump is not above moving his piece. He doesn't mind taking a personal hit or a hit to his image. Doesn't matter to him. Trump, the mindset is ultimately to get what he actually going for. Now, what that is, we have no idea. We can only surmise. And the way he was going at it, throwing tariffs at everybody, is basically trying to get people back to the table. In other words, just like a hostage negotiator. He's going to put a gun to the baby's head, which is something I said a way back. Okay, he's going to put a gun to the baby's head. So the world economy that still depends on the United States. He put a gun to their head and said, okay, if you don't negotiate with me, I will kill the baby. Knowing that he probably wouldn't, and knowing that even though he's bluffing, they couldn't take the risk. Which is why a lot of people actually came to the table and modified their stance on tariffs. China probably will too, eventually. China's a proud country, and they've been done wrong by the West and the United States for a very long time. That's not easily forgotten over the past couple hundred years. They've been holding this grudge for almost 200 years. So they're not about to trust the West and trust the United States completely. So will China ease off its tariffs? Probably so, because they want to get back to business. Ultimately, China wants to do business. And ultimately, Xi and Trump will talk, whether it's through intermediaries or they will talk personally. So Trump easing his tariffs, which was first called out by his Treasury Secretary Bessent, that the tariffs against China wasn't working. And it's time to step off the gas. And guess what Trump did? He stepped off the gas, at least to this point. Now, Trump is mercurial, so we don't know exactly where he will go next, because that is part of his charm and it's probably part of his frustration. That people have frustration with him is because he will change his mind. He will do something else. He will go off script, which is predictably unpredictable by Trump. Because I remember there was a lot of people in my comment section that I didn't understand tariffs, I didn't understand geoeconomics, that Trump is an idiot and Trump didn't know what he's doing and Trump like yada, yada, yada. There's something that I didn't know that I found out that I probably have to go back and look at, that somebody mentioned, is that Bessent is part of the Soros group that actually did the 97 Asian currency crisis, when they attacked the Thai baht and the other Asian currencies and made China spend a lot of gold to bail it out. Now, I didn't know that. I didn't know Bessent was part of that. I have to go back and read the paper because I didn't see his name. But I'm definitely going to go back and read that paper. The paper's called The Asian Currency Crisis 10 Years Later. About a 200-page paper. So I'm going to have to go back and read that. But I just want to call it out. I said BGS was right. So I told people, let it play out. Trump put on tariffs for 2 weeks and people flipping out like this is going to be permanent. He's going to destroy the United States. He's going to destroy the dollar. He's going to destroy the industry, and prices are going to go up 200%. And nobody will be able to buy anything, and everybody just flipped out. Everybody just panicked, which Trump is very good at doing, having people flip out. Unless you know him. That's why I played Bill O'Reilly, right? Because Bill O'Reilly's been knowing the guy for 35 years. Getting ready to interview the guy for some kind of special. When his 100 days, when his 100 days are up, it is what it is. Now, all you civilians and you pedestrians that flipped out and have no clue about how stuff works, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You know, all of a sudden, all these experts in tariffs and in policy come out of the woodwork. I never heard them say a word until they want to disagree with me. Then all of a sudden they become experts. Now, they've never they mentioned one paper, one book, one person, one article about any of this stuff, and all of a sudden they're experts. I've been following this stuff since really 94. It's 94. So I do know a thing or two about this kind of stuff. I've observed this stuff over a long period of time. So I do know patterns. I have seen patterns. I've also seen Trump's patterns. Now, everybody said Trump's an idiot. Even though he went to Wharton, they said he's not very smart. But people that have been around him and seen him interact, they know that he is. And they also know that he leans heavily on people that are experts. They probably also know that he leaned very heavily on Bessent. And from what I'm hearing between Bessent and Musk, I don't know what they were arguing about. Maybe they're arguing about the Chinese tariffs. I don't know. But I have a funny feeling that their argument that blew up in the White House was over these particular tariffs. I don't know if Musk wanted them lowered or eliminated, or Bessent wanted them lowered or eliminated. I don't know which. I'd love to hear what the argument was, but I have a funny feeling this is the only thing he could argue with Bessent about. But everybody knew that there's no way that we could go a year or so without some kind of reconciliation on these freaking tariffs, because it would actually wreck our whole economy. And China started putting export restrictions on certain minerals, strategic minerals, that we need to go into weapons, go into airplanes, go into a whole bunch of stuff. So we knew that wasn't going to happen. That was going to be a no-go. So eventually they were going to have to let up on it. And China is still restricting certain metals and certain minerals and rare earths that we can't get. I played the video by Inside China Business that told about the restrictions on rare earths that China has like a 90% monopoly on. So I knew there was no way that we could sustain this. Now, even after this, China has also built a parallel marketing system that's going away from the dollar. And China had begun to de-dollarize even faster than it was. So I knew Trump was going to have to backpedal to slow this down. Now, he announced these tariffs because he needs the Chinese to come to the table. And somebody else has said that the Americans think they can come to the table with a stronger hand and actually dictate terms. And that's not true. It was true at one point. At one point, it was true. I could, play a bunch of stuff from experts that say at some point this was true, that the United States would come in and put their penis on the table and dictate terms. They can't do that anymore. So now this is the reality. I'm sure Trump, with his experts and with his intelligence agencies, they know that if we know it on the ground here as regular people, as civilians, the people at the top that are experts already know it too. So it's not that big a stretch that they know it, and they know how much trouble that we'll be in if we do this, such, and so. So I knew they were going to back down. They had to back down because you're going to kill a whole bunch of industries, and there's no way we can spin up the necessary supply chain fast enough to take place of China. It took China 30 years to get into this supply chain game. It took them 30 years. We don't have that kind of time. So like I said, this was a bluff. This was saber rattling by Trump. This is a way to get the world back at the table so he can actually start negotiating these deals. That's what he's doing now. He's done it with a lot of countries in Europe. He's done it with Mexico. He's done it with Canada. That's how come he's either lessened or backed off the tariffs completely. And other countries in Asia where they've lessened the tariffs, same thing in Europe where they've lessened the tariffs, is because you need to bring these people back to the table, according to Trump, where he's thinking. And so now the tariffs did what? They got their attention. They got him where he's unpredictable. He could destroy the global economic system. And too many people rely on that. So they will at least have to listen. China at least has to listen. That is probably your last step. If China comes to the table and they hammer out agreement, then you're probably pretty cool up until the next crisis, maybe the next president. We don't know. But this is for all you civilians out there, and you, especially you pedestrians that have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Okay? This is Cuomo, and this is O'Reilly saying the exact same thing I said. Mark, that's why I played you Mark Frost, an independent voice that said exactly the same about a month or so ago. A lot of people were flipping out, and I knew that Trump would back down if necessary. All right, he's going to get what he wanted. He was going to back down. He was not going to kill the economy over tariffs. He was not. Because that would be violating his campaign promise, which is to lower inflation. Everybody knows it. And him keeping tariffs that high is not going to do very much good because we don't have the jobs, necessary job and job skills to actually take over that industry anyway, or a whole bunch of other industries. And then we still have to get Chinese parts in to actually build anything, at least for the short term. So anyhow, that's all I got. I just wanted to chuckle and laugh and wave this in certain people's faces, these so-called experts. Get the hell out of here with that expert stuff. Still crying over Kamala Harris. I'll get to that one after this, okay?